Today, I'm going to be making an apple brown Betty. I got this recipe from food.com, so I will link it in the description below if you're interested. For this recipe, you need 10 to 12 baking apples is what it says. I looked up on Google, what is a good baking apple? They said Honey Crisp apples were a good baking apple. So we just bought them in a bag, and you don't get 10 to 12. I still think we'll have enough. There are 8 apples in here, so it's going to be just a smaller apple brown Betty, but it's still, I think this will be plenty. You need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 1/4 cups of flour, 3/4 cups of brown sugar, and 1/4 pound of butter, which is 1 stick. That is for the actual brown Betty. And then you make a syrup. And for the syrup, you're going to need another 2/3 cup brown sugar. You're going to need 1/4 cup of hot water, which we'll get it when we need it. We didn't want to get hot water now and it cool off by the time we have it. And then half a lemon, the juice of half a lemon. If you Google how much is in half a lemon, it is 1.5 tablespoons. So this is 1.5 tablespoons of this lemon juice. So the first thing we're going to do is cut and peel and core and slice our apples. So we're going to take them out of the bag, we're going to wash them. I always like to wash them under water, and then we'll be back. So Kevin washed all the apples, all 8 apples. The first thing he's going to do is peel each one of them. So he kept his bag over here so that he can put the skin on the bag. The peel, and then I will show you what he's going to do next. So Kevin peeled all the apples, and now he's just going to core them, which just means take the center out. And
yeah, we don't have a core. I mean, you can get a core. We have a core, but it has it cuts it into like wedges, and I don't think wedges would be good. I think you want slices for this.
So Kevin cored all the apples, and now he is going to slice them, and he's going to put them directly into this pan. We call this our lasagna pan. It is actually bigger than what you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have a lightly greased 12 by 9 inch pan. This is a 9 by 13.5, but even my cake pans I checked are 9 by 13. So, you're going, unless you have bought that size, you're going to have either, you need a smaller pan or a bigger one. I just chose to use the bigger lasagna pan. So he is going to slice these up and then lay them in the bottom, and then we'll be back. Okay, you can see this is our 8 apples, and there are quite a few. And Kevin said, I don't have to cut up all these if you don't want me to. And I said, no, I want you to, because their recipe said to do 10 to 12. So we definitely wanted to use all 8. So right now what I'm doing is I'm sprinkling my cinnamon over the top. And I'm trying to get it as even as I can. I'm sure once it gets all the liquid in there with it and stuff, it'll spread out a little bit. Just like this. Okay, now you want to take your flour and your brown sugar. This is the brown sugar. This is not for the syrup part.
3/4 cup.
3/4 cup. And we've gotten, you want to swish it up a little bit, mix it up. Make sure you don't have any lumps of brown sugar. And then you want to take your butter. We've gotten it a little bit
softer than I intended.
Softer than we intended in the microwave.
It's okay, it'll work.
And I took my ring off to do this part, but you just want to mix it like this with your fingers. I don't think a spoon would have worked as well as just using your fingers. So at this point, you want to just take this and set this aside, and you want to get your hot water for your syrup. So we have our brown sugar for our syrup portion. You want to mix your brown sugar, your lemon juice, and your 1/4 cup of hot water. It needs to be hot. So
Not boiling, just
hot.
water.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna mix that like this with a spoon. Okay, now you want to pour half of this mixture over your apples. Okay, now you take all of your flour mixture and pour it over your apples. Then you're going to take the remaining liquid from your syrup and pour it over the top. And then this is going to bake. They got really thick. This is going to bake at 350 for 1 hour. So it was in the oven for a full hour, and I just have to say it smells absolutely incredible in the house. The whole house smells like cinnamon and sugar. So I'm sure you could just get this out with a spoon. I'm just going to use a little spatula here and put some in a dish. It just looks absolutely wonderful. So Kevin and I will take it over to the table and give it a try. There is juice down in the bottom. I'm assuming when that cools, it will solidify a little bit. But this recipe, once it told you to put it in the oven for an hour, the recipe like stopped. So it did not give you any more information after that. So I'm sure you can put whipped cream with this, ice cream with this, whatever, but I'm gonna let it sit here and cool for a minute and we'll be back. We have given these some time to cool off, so.
It smells wonderful.
It does, yeah. I said that earlier. I think it does too.
I haven't been in here to smell it. This smells very good.
I love the crust.
The crust, and it's like a perfect level of cinnamon.
And the apples are perfectly cooked.
This reminds me a lot of an apple pie, but more of an apple, like an apple crumble or an apple like crumb cake or something like that. It reminds me more like or a baked apple with crumb on top.
Yes, I mean
That's what it reminds me
this
of.
is absolutely terrific.
I noticed in the pan, and Tammy said she already mentioned it, it has a lot of liquid on the bottom. I think you probably could have used like half the sauce in there and not put the other half. So you probably could have cut that recipe in half and just put that amount of liquid in there. So instead
But
of
then
4,
you wouldn't get all the brown sugar. Or you?
No, you're sprinkling cinnamon and the crumb on top, which has brown sugar.
But it had a lot of brown sugar.
The sauce on the bottom, I don't know. Maybe you should put less. Maybe you could put less water in it then. Yeah, something is just because I think you're getting a lot of liquid from the apples, adding to the liquid on the bottom you've already got. So
I'm gonna tell you though, if I made it again, I would make it exactly the same because I picked it up. I showed you. I picked it up with that spatula and I put it in this bowl. There's no liquid in the bottom of this bowl.
No, if you scoop it out with a spoon,
so when
it
you
probably
pick
would've
it, when you get it out, that liquid is staying in the bowl, and it doesn't seem to be making it soggy or anything like that.
No, you probably would have noticed if you got it out with a spoon.
Yes.
If you scooped it with a spoon, you probably would have gotten a lot.
You would have gotten a lot of juice with it, but since I used the spatula, the juice ran off.
Right.
But I think it's incredible. I love the amount of sweetness. This is when I talk about cinnamon and sugar and the ratio. This is what I'm talking about. I want a lot of brown sugar flavor. Still get the cinnamon, but mainly brown sugar. That's I love
cinnamon
it.
too, though. The cinnamon flavor is good though, so it's a good balance. And it's a good.
And those Honeycrisp apples.
Perfect apples.
Absolutely perfect.
Yep.
And you like those anyway.
I like Honeycrisp anyway, but they're a juicy apple, so maybe that's where some of the moisture is coming from too. Is the Honeycrisp?
Yes.
Maybe if you use a drier apple, then it would have not been as much. I don't know.
But an hour
They're really good.
was a perfect time to bake everything. I'm just very, very impressed with this because it's pretty easy. The only time consuming part is the apples in the beginning.
Yeah.
So Kevin
And if
peeled
you had a
lemon.
core that actually you could core them out,
Right.
and peel them and core them, and slicing them would be a lot faster if you had something to core them. It just took me a little while longer because I had to cut the V out to get the core out.
Right, but that's the most time consuming
Yeah.
part. And if you want to know a little secret why I made this recipe, it's because Kevin and I are both huge fans of the show King of the Hill. And Peggy, the main character, one of the main characters, is she's famous for her apple brown Betty recipe. And anytime she takes something
To like a function.
to a function, she'll make that and take it with her. So I had never had it before, and I had to try it myself. So if you all have had apple brown Betty, if you do anything differently, I plan on finishing mine too because it's incredible.
I wouldn't lick the ball while I'm on video.
Yeah, please don't lick them. I'm glad you like it that
It was
much.
very, very
good. But if you've had it, if you haven't had it, and you decide from this video, I want to make this, if you love apple and cinnamon and sugar, let me know, and thanks for watching.